Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So, I'm super excited for today's video because we are talking about Only Friends. If you guys didn't know, I'm reacting to the series Only Friends, and I just recently posted my video for episode 3. And there's a lot of discourse that's happening, a lot of thoughts and feelings on the narrative so far, on the characters, and I've been living. I really like the show itself, but I like the conversation that we're having on a weekly basis, all week long, about what's going on. And I thought it'd be interesting to make this video today because after I posted my video, I was able to join in the conversation. Because if you guys didn't know, I was late reacting. It was days after the episode came out that seen it. So I was late to actually chit chat and talk about the series. But one of the things I've noticed before I even watched the episode and even after is that people feel, and I'm quoting someone, they feel like Top is trash. And I don't feel that way. I explained a little bit in my episode 3 reaction, but I want to further explain, especially now that I've been going back and forth in the comment section of that video on TikTok and even in my discourse, which I had a lot of conversation about. And I just wanted to give my point of view a little bit better because I was responding to replies in that, but I feel like I was talking in circles or my point wasn't getting across. So I want to get on here and make a video about my whole thought process on that. Now, before we get started, I want to let you guys know I have posted 3 new reaction videos on my Patreon to Cherry Magic. I'm almost done with the series, so if you haven't seen my reactions to Cherry Magic or all the other Japanese and Korean dramas, they're all on my Patreon page. Become a patron below. So go check those out and let me know what other shows I should check out after I finish Cherry Magic. I do need to finish June, and I'm not going to finish Laws of Attraction, so that's off the list. But give me some other suggestion, other Korean dramas maybe. I know there's some new ones that have dropped, and some new Thai dramas have dropped, so let me know below. I really appreciate any and all suggestions. Thank you. Okay, so the whole reason I'm making this video is, like I said, people were saying Top is trash, and I was like, where do y'all see that at? How is he trash? And the obvious answer is that because in this episode at the end, he ends up busting down with Boston in that car, okay, and it is not a good look for him as far as his pursuit of Mew. But I don't know if that quantifies as a reason that he is trash. It does ruin his little personal goal, but it doesn't really amount to much as far as him being like, I guess coming here in trash, I'm thinking like some terrible malicious person, and that's not what he has been presented as at all in the series. And let me explain my thought process on that. One of the things I have noticed, and this is no attack on anyone, this is something that I really it's obvious that lots of people who watch this show, or I guess most shows in general, have a bias towards the high morally correct individual, the person they think has high morals and lives has a relatable personality traits or a thought process. And in this show, it's Mew and Nick. Those are the 2 characters that people kind of automatically favor more than the other characters because you hear Mew wanting to hold out on giving up the nookie until he's with someone in a romantic and in a monogamous relationship with. So that's kind of a relatable, like, oh, boys love kind of thing. So you're automatically on his team, and he is a very nice guy. I like his character. I'm surprised because the actor Book, I have never liked none of his characters in the other 2 shows he's been in that I've seen him in. So I'm surprised that I like his character in this show, but I really do. And he seems like a very nice, likable guy with a common desire, as far as relationships goes. You know what I mean? You just want to protect him. You guys want to just kind of like rally around him. And then Nick is similar because he clearly wants to be with Boston. and not just be busting down friends with benefits. He wants to be with him. So that's also like a, relatable, something that some people want. And like I've noticed that the whole friends with benefits and not being with someone or being with someone intimately without being in love or being together with them is seen as a it's seen as in poor taste. Even though you guys may not admit it, there's a lot of the comments I've been seeing on various videos, and it seems like, oh, you know, Boston and Top are untrustworthy. They're schemers. They're just trying to get people's pants, and they're these terrible people because of that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't. I don't. You can feel how you want to feel about a person who is more promiscuous or who isn't with someone. They're not a bad person because they have that, what's that, hedonist lifestyle. They enjoy the carnal pleasures. If they're like hurting people and doing things, I can see, I'll be like, okay, they're trash. But like when they're not doing none of that, or in this case, they're really upfront with certain things, or they're not doing anything malicious. Well, Boston doesn't, and I'll explain that in a minute. But you know what I mean? They're not like present as awful people the way people are acting like, just because they are like f boys. That to me, you acting like the other characters are more superior, or whatever the case may be, because they're not the same way as these two, is very interesting, right? And let's go through the narrative and see, so you see my point of view. When it comes to Top, all the negative things we know about him or we feel about him are coming from Boston. Like, he's the one who's telling the audience and the other characters that he is just an F boy who doesn't date and just nails and bails. So, of course, we run with that narrative, but in the show's context, we haven't seen that. We just know what Boston's telling us. Because if you notice, he's pursuing Mew and all the things, and Mew was like, "Oh, I'm not trying to bust down with you." They're making out on the counter, they were doing the things. He's like, "Oh, I need to be with you. I need to be in love. I need these requirements." And he's like, "Okay, bet." He respects his boundaries and is spending time with him. He's very nice to his friends. He's helping with that school project they had. He's been presenting himself as such a nice stand-up kind of guy, and I'm noticing that. I'm putting that in his basket. We're giving him the pointers, give him the points that he's gaining. And even the show's context, you see Mew, like, he's checking all the boxes. He's check. He's getting to know him. He's opening up to him. They're going on these little dates, the conversations. I can see that bringing them together, and that's the best part I like about their dynamic, is it seems that their conversations have meaning behind them. They get to know each other a bit more every time they talk, every time they go on these dates and hang out. So it makes me like them even more, which is going to hurt even more so when they end up imploding, with what we know is going to happen with the whole situation with Boston. I'm sure that's going to come to light sooner or later, so it's going to implode their dynamic. But it's nice to see them as these boys trying to get to know each other, and really, like, we can I can see Mew giving in and wanting to like bust down, and we obviously know that Top wants to actually be with someone in a relationship. He's done with that playboy life for the most part, it seems. And there's a few times where that's apparent. Number one is when Boston tried to like flirt with him in the bathroom. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to get to his pants, Mew's pants, but I'm also trying to make him mine, my boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, work." And he stopped his advances, you know, which prompted, obviously, after he asked him to be his boyfriend, he prompted Boston to go into Mew's ear and say, "Don't trust him. He's a player. He just want to get that nookie and bounce." So Mew and then breaks out with him and say, "Let's start over. We did this too soon. Let's pump the brakes." Obviously, like I said, Top has been a nice guy, so he's like, "Oh, you know what? You're right. I was just so excited, so gung ho. Let's start over." But that was Boston's doing, because you notice Mew is broke out with him and said, "Let's start over. Let's not do this right now." After Boston talked to him, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna prove that I'm not gonna let him just get in my pants and see how long he lasts." And like, which makes one of the points out of Mew's basket because why are you doing that? I think that's petty and childish. This boy hasn't given you a reason to distrust him, but your friend tells you that, and you're kind of. I'm not saying don't take his advice. I'm not saying that, but you did all that, and for how long are you going to do that? Like, how long are you going to make this boy wait? Right now, maybe you still want to be with him because I do think they like each other. I don't think Mew is just doesn't like Top or really distrusts him like that, but he is being cautious and he just want to make sure. But he's still being petty about about this. So I'm kind of like Mew, you're really you're losing some points with me, but it's fine. It is fine. But after they break up, obviously Boston goes and tries to put the moves on him in the shower and kind of works. They started making out, and I don't want to give Top too much benefit of the doubt in the situation, but having someone you're with pull back again and say, let's not be together right now, and it may kind of feel a ways. You may pick up on them trying to just push you off so they don't have to get in, you kick into their pants. Maybe he's not thinking Mew's doing that, but it's a feeling like, oh damn, like I thought we were gonna really go the next level and go the next step. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to bust down. I feel like it's one of those things where it seemed like, oh, he's just trying to hit it, and that's bad. Because if you think he can leave you after he hits it, why are you even continuing? Because Mute is continuing to date this boy. So like, I don't know what's going on with that. If you think he's gonna do you wrong, you playing these games to test him and make him last longer or whatever the case may be doesn't make any sense because you're wasting your time. You want to find love and be with someone. Maybe you don't want to be with someone. I don't know. Because your best friend kind of pushed him on you. That one girl. What's her name? Cherub? I forgot her name. But she was kind of like really shipping them. So she really kind of like. But I don't know what your end goal is. But anyways. So obviously Boston and Top are like making out in the shower. And I'm like, that's not great. Like, ooh, if y'all get caught, it's going to be a wrap. Especially because Boston is Mew's friend. Like, Boston betraying his friend. Right? His friend. But at the same time, Top has no obligation to Mew. That's not his man. They haven't talked about let's be exclusive. Whatever the case may be, that's not the case. So even though it's not great that he did that, he's not betraying him really. If you really want to be technical about it, it's not. So like the argument of like, oh, he's messing up his chances. Oh well, that's his chance. He messing up. And it seems like Mew was a big boy. He won't be that pressed about it. I'm not saying he won't be sad because I feel like he does like him a lot, but I don't think he's gonna be like boohooing in the streets. He ain't really up under him. He's not the one that's so attached to him that he's gonna be devastated. Like maybe y'all feel he might be. I'm not sure what your reasoning is to have a defense squad for Mew. And I even brought that up in the discourse. Like, what about what argument or what could you say about Mew that makes you want to go to bat for him and no one can say anything because we don't know his backstory, we don't know his tea at all, we don't know his point of view really. We just know Ray's point of view in the show so far and Boston. Everyone else is always the point of view is always them together. It's never like them doing something outside of the other characters. Those are the only two. Now, when it comes to what happens next. This is what gets it really kind of. This is the real reason why people are upset at Top. He busts down with Boston at the end of the episode, but I feel like that's the only thing people keep bringing up and not bringing up the fact that Boston is manipulating the whole situation. He still wants Top, and it doesn't seem like Top is wavering in his desire for Mew. So he obviously knows that Ray doesn't like Top, and is instigating them to like and on the opposite end he gets in Top's ear and say, oh, me and Ray, they got a thing going on. Here's a picture of them kissing. They still got something going on. You see how they've been buddy buddy, and we see Mew and Ray's friendship being very affectionate and very nice. So, and obviously Top has seen it a few times, but he ain't really pressed on it. But Boston is getting to his ear that it's more than what is presented. So, when he meets up with him to figure out more information, I know you guys are like, oh, he's wrong for falling for that little trap, a little trick Boston did with the old photo, but you're also forgetting that he also actively said like, oh, they're still probably doing things on the low right now still. And, obviously Mew has no obligation to Top, so Top can't really say that to him. Like, that's not your man, so he can go bust down whoever he wants, unless you guys have a talk about being mutually exclusive, which, to my knowledge, hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet at all. So, but obviously he's upset because he's like, damn, I really, really like this boy, and he could be up under this guy who actually dislikes me, and that might be a reason why he dislikes me because they still got something going on that I don't know about. But I'm seeing this photo, this video of them making out, distraught, and then they bust down. Which also say it's not great, but I'm also like, Angel Man and someone else is pulling the strings. I feel like people are not giving credit to Boston for instigating all these events. Why is that? And it's very curious because I'm gonna get to Boston and Nick's dynamic, but it's the opposite over there because in this scenario, Top is the one who is wrong. Doesn't matter what Boston is doing. Top should be have a stronger willpower, not to fall for his games, and he is trash because he did. And I'm like, that's not okay. Keep that same energy. Time for the segue. So, segue to Boston and Nick. In this dynamic, it's the opposite. It's Boston is terrible for manipulating Nick into being his like friends with benefits forever. Because in this episode in particular, Nick again is like wanting, hinting, and directly saying he wants to be with him and not just be busting down. He wants him to be his man. And then he says, well, maybe time will tell. Maybe in the future we could be booed up. Who knows? Which obviously people see as, oh, he manipulating him with this olive branch, right? But no one's saying like, oh, why is Nick falling for this bullcrap? Why is Nick expecting something different when this boy has told him he not gonna be with him? Yes, he might have said he gave a little bit more hope in this scenario, in this conversation, but he still ain't finna be with him. Why is no one dragging Nick for that? If they're gonna drag Top for falling for Boston's little games, why is Nick the one? Why isn't that? Could y'all feel bias towards him? Because his wants are more pure, his wants are more relatable, his wants are the moral high ground in some ways. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, I like Mew and I like Nick. I just don't think they are deserving of some type of protection squad over the other characters because they're F boys, and one of them is actively causing the chaos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, they're all relatively the same age. They're grown. Some mistakes are being made, and they have choices to be made. Mew chose to be with him after Boston told him that, oh, he finna just get into your pants, and he chose to still kind of, even though they broke up, he still chose to date him. Nick multiple times had this conversation with Boston about being together, and Boston's like, nah, bruh, and he still chose to continue to the point where now, like how I said, Mew lost some points with the whole breaking up just to prove a point thing, playing these games. So did Nick by bugging the car. I don't, I don't understand that. Like, it's not like he lying to you. Like he cheating on you. You're not his man. So you bugging the car and hearing it for what? I get you're jealous. That I understand that. Like I get like he's jealous and he feels a ways. That is not lost on me, y'all. Like I get it. I get it. It's just you. It doesn't look good on your part either. You know, it doesn't look good that you're doing that. And I am excited for the mess. It's all messy. All of it's messy, and I'm here for it. But I don't know. I'm not like against one character. I think they're awful because they did this. When everybody's kind of like have their ways about each other. Yes, there are levels to the deception. Boston really out here acting reckless and doing the most. But so it's odd that everyone's points of view is just like, oh, Top and Boston are just terrible. I'm like, damn, they with this isolated incident, the action is terrible. I don't think they're terrible people or like I don't know what y'all want from them to do to prove to you that they're not. I don't know. It just seems like it's not. It isn't making that much sense. Everyone's like rebuttals and arguments on why they think Top is trash or Boston is awful because it's a two-way street on all fronts. You know what I mean? Another thing is this is I guess minor. I've noticed that people said they don't believe this friend group. They're not really friends. Everyone is shady. Everyone is scheming. I'm like, where has that been presented in the show? We know Ray is in love with Max, but he's not crossing no boundaries or disrespect to him in any way. He's being an actually good friend, looking out for him. They have a heartfelt moment. That's great. Max and what's her name? I can't want to call her Cherub. I'm gonna call her Cherub. I forgot her name. They seem very like good Judies. You know what I mean? Like they seem very nice and friendly and cordial. The friend group as a whole, the four in class together at the bar at that waterfront place where they went to the skiing and all that stuff. They threw the house party. They seem like homies. I don't know what else you would need to be to for them to do to prove that they are friends. And there are levels to friendship. Some are best friends. Some are just hangout buddies. And these four members do seem like good homies. Yes, Boston is scheming and manipulating things, so he may not be an actual ride or die friend. Clearly, it's obvious. But other than that, I don't know what. And the other people, Top, Sand, and Nick, are not even in that friend group. So I don't know where is the discourse about that. Now that's just something mine. I just saw. I was like, I don't understand what else is needed from these characters to really sell the friend dynamic when they're shown hanging out, giving each other advice. It's all strange to really have distrust. And on the topic of distrust, what are we exactly distrusting? Because we know what Boston's doing, so wh- he's not someone we should. We know He's already betraying someone, right? So that's already there. Ray's not portraying no one. I don't think Sanda's either. Nick is kind of betraying Boston. A bug in the car and whatnot, and getting that little tea. Um, you could say Top is betraying Mew, sure, but this distrust was already set in stone before that him and Boston got doing the do. But I already said y'all biased towards certain characters and other ones not because of their lifestyle. So it's already I know why y'all feel like he's just untrustworthy. But who is he betraying? That's not his man. So what are we not trustworthy about? Because also speaking of Top not being trustworthy, that scene when they were in the silent disco and that boy came up told me a lot. Because that boy was like, "Oh, you haven't been out to the clubs, we haven't been busting down, you've been ignoring my text messages." I'm like, so wait a minute, Top is actively going against what y'all think he would be doing. He's ghosting these boys, not going out, not doing the things. He's spending his time with Mew, and not doing all these other things. I think that's another point in his basket. I think we should take into account all the things that are happening in the show before we actively feel like a character a certain way. But he's doing this. He's being respectful. He's spending time with him. He's being nice to his friends. He's doing all these things. Check, 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 check. And then obviously it's not good that he's busting down with Boston, but there's nuance to that. There's other things at play. There's more context. There's definitely a lot more context. Are y'all seeing it? Am I making sense? Because all I'm saying is what happens in the show. I'm not pulling things out of thin air. I'm not basing off what, because a lot of people like to base things off like, well, if you wanted someone, you wouldn't do this. Sure. But also, you're not betraying someone either. If you want to be real about it. So we can go back and forth on what you think someone should be doing based on their own personal needs. Because you can say, mute, you want to date someone, be with someone. Why are you holding them at bay as far as being intimate? And we know why, but like, why keep continuing that cycle with him if you think he's gonna play you? It doesn't make any sense. You're wasting everyone's time, your time, our time. So what's going on? It's weird. It's getting weird. Now, this isn't uncommon for a boys' love series. They'll telegraph who is the bad guy, and the bad guy could not. They probably do nothing yet, and you already are against them. Or I remember I was watching Together the series with Alex and his friend Amanda, and Drake was in it, and Drake's character was flirting with who's the actor? When he was flirting with Wynn's character, and they were like, "No, get away from him." Da-da-da-da. I'm like, why y'all doing that? Well, that's his man over there. I'm like, that's not his man though. They're not together. It's a fake relationship. And in that point in the story, they were like beefing. So like it wasn't even anything close to them getting together at that point. So and then Wynn's character could have told him like, hey, thanks but no thanks. It was. And you saw Bright's character start fighting Drake's character. I'm like, so you fight on campus? You fight over men that's not yours? You feeling jealous? And that's supposed to be. I know people love jealousy and they love those kind of things. But I'm like, given the context of what's going on, it doesn't make sense for you to be acting like this. And it's actually kind of scary that you're that possessive. I know it's supposed to be cute and like, oh my god, young romance and like, ooh, you're passion, you love him, so like you're jealous. So I'm like, ooh, I want someone to be jealous of about me. I'm like, do you really want that? Because in reality, them it's scary. It's very volatile and toxic. But I know that's the mo for these shows. Like the toxic stuff is like the dream. You know, people like to say like punch me in the face, step on me, like that toxic. Y'all playing when y'all say that, but like y'all be for real, and y'all be saying like, oh, the jealousy is delicious, and y'all love that. So I'm like, I get, but I also don't get it. You know, so something that's very common when you watch a boys love series and the fandom's response to things. Now, I'm not saying you have to like Top. I'm not saying that at all. Like, dislike who you like. I just am giving my reason why that doesn't make any sense when you give your reason. Because you can be like, oh, I don't like the fact that he, you know, bust down with Boston. Bet. Sure. But don't act like Boston ain't do nothing. He didn't manipulate them and being like, well, it's his fault for. No, it's Boston's fault for manipulating him. Turning the instigating, turning the wheels in motion to do these things to get what he wanted. It's okay to be like, you know, damn, it sucks that you fell for this stuff. That's not good. I wish you had more willpower. I wish you did better. I hope you do better. When it comes to Mew, I hope you find out that Boston was manipulating that and lied a little bit of lying, a little bit of, but also be like, okay, Boston, you're terrible for doing that to your homie. Which also, when it comes to like characters being like doing bad things and whatnot, calling them out on their bad behavior doesn't make any sense. They're doing the bad behavior. It would be different if Boston was out here being like, I guess he was actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Not publicly, because he did tell Top that's his friend. He'll be there for his friend when Top breaks his heart. But he didn't say that in a public setting. He didn't say that around nobody else. So it's not like he's going against what he told the masses. He just told that on the low to Top. So, he's not. It is hypocritical for you to be like, "Oh, that's my friend. Don't play him," but then you're the tool to get him to get played. Now that's the part I'm like Boston girl, but it's also not. He's not putting up a facade, or I guess he might be putting up a facade, but he's not actively trying to hide his tracks, or he's just doing things in secret and then keep it moving. He's not like doing things in secret and trying to cover it up because what is there to cover up? Because Top ain't gonna bring it up. It's gonna mess up his chances with Mew. So like and no one else has caught you. Now he might want to cover his tracks now that he might find out that Nick recorded them. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? That's the juicy part. The whole Top and Sand fight is gonna be lit. The whole Sand finding out that you know Top and Boston bust down. He might use that as revenge. And we also don't know much about Top or Mew, so I'm sure we'll get more context on Top's past and all these things that happened before the start of the series, which will be very exciting. Um, but I know it'll give us more context. But again, that has nothing to do with the current timeline, what he's doing with Mew, unless we find something out that he's been has like six boyfriends now and like he's doing the most, which he doesn't seem like to be that messy, and he seems to be genuine with his dynamic with Mew. And I know you're gonna say, what about him busting down Boston? Like, okay, I went over that already. I know you're typing. I know you're typing. But yeah, I think that's all I need to say. I hope I got my point across. Now this isn't any attack on anyone else. I'm not attacking you personally. I just find that some of the arguments to be kind of lackluster, and I'm just giving my reason why. I'm not in defense of everyone. I just want to, what's it called, spade a spade? Sure. And I like that it's messy. I like that we have, you know, I will say my least favorite character so far is Ray, and only because he keeps harassing Sand. I don't like when characters do that, and he's getting on my nerves because of that. But I like his friendship with Mew, and I like his antagonistic dynamic with Top. And he doesn't really have a buddy buddy situation with Boston, but they're cool enough. And then him and Cherub, what's her name? Her. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below on this topic. Um, Now, if I miss something, if I gave all these points, bullet points on my context on why this character shouldn't be hated as much, or it doesn't make sense for you guys to hate him like y'all do, let me know below. I don't mind being wrong. Just nice, be nice in the comments. Like, if you have a rebuttal, have a different point of view, let me know that. Be like, yeah, you're right, but I still don't like that he did that, and I like Mew. And I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Just say you like Mew, you have a bias towards him. I'm gonna be like, oh, that makes sense. Because people be like, he's wrong for doing that for Mew, but also, well, Mew could be trash too. I don't know. You don't know, so you have nothing to go either way on him. So let's do it surface level, because as it stands, Mew and Top have a good dynamic with each other, which I really like, and might be messed up now, but I'm not hurt that Top did that to Mew by busting out his best friend. Oh, it sucks. Good luck. I mean, the odds be in your favor, but ooh, but I'm not like betrayed. I mean, like people act like they just doing the most to them. Like I guess you see yourself in Mew, so you're kind of like, if you knew all this information about someone you're being pursued by doing this, I guess you'll be upset. But they ain't your man, so manage your expectations and your emotions, I guess, to the best of your abilities. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below, and I will see y'all in the next video.